Hello, guys. Welcome back to That's So Danny. I'm so excited to be filming episode 7. It's been so much fun uploading these episodes, and so I was just wanted to let you guys know that this episode may be a little trigger warning. Um, we're gonna be talking about death and just like near experience deaths. But in this episode, we're gonna be talking about the time I was in Mexico and I got bitten by a scorpion and I almost passed away. So essentially, I used to live with my grandparents in Mexico and with my grandparents and my mom, but my mom used to sleep in another bedroom and I used to sleep with my grandparents. And so it was the middle of the night. I would say like maybe like around 11, and I would have had passed away. Sorry, I had a busy day, and essentially, like, when you live in Mexico, like, depending on every house is very different. So the way basically ours is like, if you ever seen Dora, like that type of brick layering, that's how our house was. And so, when it was like middle of the night, right? Like I said, and so I felt like something like something on my, like I felt something like on me, and so I was like, oh, like, and it like poked me and I was like, oh my god, that shit hurt, like. And so I swatted, and then it like it was a scorpion had fallen on me, and I guess I had swatted with my hand and it poked my arm, and then it poked me, and I guess I hit it again and it poked my stomach, and I still have the little scar from it. And oh my god, it was such a horrible pain. Like, it felt terrible. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Something poked me. And then I woke up and my grandfather was like, yeah, a scorpion literally bit you. And then I was like, and you saw the, well, okay. The reason why I'm kind of salty was because he's like, oh yeah, I saw the scorpion fall on you and he bit you. And I was like, this mofo sees a scorpion falling on top of me and you're not gonna go and remove it and like, you know what I mean? I was kind of like, what the fuck? Anyways, at that time, I also want to say, like, I was going through really hard stuff. Like, I was going through like my first time experiencing like SA, and so, like, it felt surreal because like around that time that I had experienced it, it was like not too long after like this experience happened. And the reason why I'm even explaining it is because it kind of correlates to the next part of the episode, right? Anyways, so I felt it bit me, and then my grandfather saw it, and as soon as like he like removed it off me, like he killed it. And so my grandparents were like, they were like telling my mom, like, come on, like, wake up, like a scorpion bit Danny, like we need to take him to the hospital as soon as possible. And our nearest like clinic, or like, like close to us, was like still like a 20-minute drive. And I remember like they're like, okay, like let's go. So I remember one of the symptoms of like when I got bitten by a scorpion was I could not breathe. Like, I was having a really hard time breathing, but I also could not like have like cold air or cold water. Like, for some reason, whenever I had cold air on my face, like it choked me. Like, it felt terrible, but at the same time I was hot, right? Because it was like, it's summer. So we were driving there, and it was so scary because like I was like, I'm hot, but like I can't get the cold air. It's like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm choking. And I was holding my little sister, and then I was panicking because I had my little sister, and then I had my other little sister, and then I was like, oh my god, what is going on? And then after like I feel like because I've also had already experienced the SA, I feel like I was able to keep calm, like internally, like externally, but in the inside, like I was kind of freaking out because like after my SA, like I feel like I learned to dissociate, and so I feel like it kind of like took that to that, and so yeah, and it was kind of like scary because we were driving, and so we get to the hospital, and they're like, oh my god, he got bitten by scorpion, and he's like, okay, like let's put him in the. I think we had to wait a little bit, and then I got into the room, and it was so scary because when you get to the clinic, like you kind of have to still wait, even if it's an emergency, because they're like, oh, well, there's other people there. And so, but then like they heard that I got bitten by scorpion, so they were like, okay, that's totally fine, like let's get you in as soon as possible. I remember, so I got in, and essentially like we got in, and I remember we got into the room. I I don't remember getting undressed, but like, you know what, not undressed, like, but like taking off my clothes so that they can put on like the things in the hospital, and I don't really recall that, to be honest. But essentially, like, I was starting to get like really lightheaded. I felt really nauseous, and I remember like I was like starting to hallucinate. Like, I was seeing my grandma 3 times, like 3D. Like, I was like, whoa, like I'm seeing 3 of y'all. I don't know who is who, which is crazy. But you know, when you get bit by a scorpion, like everyone reacts very differently, and so I was starting to see like 3 of them. I started to see people differently, and I was scared because I was like 10 or 11. You know what I mean? And like, you know, I feel like when you're a kid, like things just, I mean, it's obviously a really big situation, but it was just so crazy because like after that say, and with that, like I didn't know how to feel. Like I felt very confused but very terrified, but at the same time I was like all these feelings, you know, kind of came up to like my heart, you know. So, and they were like, essentially like, we don't really have the medicine to like to kind of like help you out. They're like, you have to pay like a really high fee for us to like send someone, because it was like a public hospital. And so they were like, hey, like you would have to pay a lot more money to go get medicine from a different clinic to bring it to this clinic. And obviously if you don't get him his medicine, like he's gonna die, essentially. And so I was like even freaking out even more, because it's like, I was like, what am I gonna do? And so like they went to go ask for the medicine. My mom paid like a big fee, and they were like, okay, like let's go. And essentially like, but the thing is, like, I started to throw up the venom. If you ever seen videos like you know, like, or cartoon movies or stuff like that, like whenever they get bit like a snake or a scorpion, they always like throw up venom or the little like foam. And so I was starting to throw that up, and then I was like starting to feel really, really, really tired. And you know how like in the movies, like whenever like someone's like a kind of passing away, they're like, you know, they kind of keep flashing like consciously and unconsciously, and that's how I kind of felt. Like, I feel like that's the best description. And I remember like kind of feeling like conscious, but like kind of like being like really just there. And then like the thing is, like, I felt really, really, really tired. And like essentially when someone's like kind of like passing away, or you've seen like and stuff like that, like they're kind of like, oh, I'm just so tired, and then, you know, and they're like, no, you got to stay awake. And I was like, I'm really, really, really tired. Like, I have to sleep. Like, I feel tremendously like exhausted. I feel, you know, I can't keep pushing. I feel really, really tired. And they're like, and I'm cold and I'm gonna cry. But essentially, like, that was what's happening. And like, because of the essay, I feel like it was so many feelings, you know what I mean? But like feeling like trying to fight for your life in that moment felt like horrendous, because it's like, bro, like I'm here, but like I'm not really here, you know what I mean? And and I remember it got to the point where they were like, oh, like, you know, he has to stay awake, and I was like, I can't. And then I fell asleep, and then that's when I just like saw like white, like, you know, like when, like, a great example would be like Harry Potter, like, you know, when Harry Potter dies, like this is exactly how it felt, like exactly like that. I felt no anxiety, I didn't feel no depression, like I felt nothing but peace, and it felt really quiet. It was completely white in there. Like, you know, like when people say like, oh, like, you know, when they come like back to life after they die, like it's like completely like, it's so peaceful, like you're so at peace, like, you know, you just kind of like see the light and you see like everything. And so I, you know, like, I mean, to my recalling, it was kind of like, you know, I can stay at this place where I feel a lot of peace, and I didn't feel sadness, and I didn't feel anger. I think it was like, either I can stay at this place where I feel peace and I feel safe and I feel comfortable, or I can go back to my life, you know. And I kind of did want to choose a piece. Like, I know, like, that sounds kind of morbid, but it's because I had, like, I knew what I was experiencing that time. So I remember, like, a part of me, like, just kind of was, like, debating. And then I was like, no, I can't. Oh, my God. But I never really told any of this to anyone, but a big part of the reason why, like, I was like, I can't leave my sisters. Like, there's one thing of, like, if I pass away, but, like, who's getting protected? You know what I mean? And I was like, I can't leave them, And so, and I had been, like, out for a while, you know what I mean? And, I just woke up, and then all of a sudden, like, you just wake up and you feel kind of conscious, and I felt like absolute garbage, you know what I mean? I was like, they're like, oh my God, you finally woke up. You were out for, like, I think 20 minutes. I was able to get the medicine, and so it was, like, crazy because, I was in there, and they were like, okay, he's good. And so because of that, like, as obviously I got my vitals taken, and they were like, okay, you're good to go home. But the thing is, like, when you are, like, happening, like, something, like, situation like that, like, time to you feels irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like, I think we were in there for, like, a while, like, I think, like, all night. And then for me, it felt like I was just asleep for, like, 5 minutes. And so it's just kind of, like, crazy, like, how, like, like, when you're in that moment of, like, there, it's like, you don't feel like time doesn't really exist. It's like, for people out, like, in that were like, oh my God, we're here forever. I was like, for me, it just felt, like, really short. And I just feel like I just took a nap. And so, yeah. So I know this episode was kind of maybe, like, a little downward, but honestly, I had so much fun filming it. And I feel like, it's kind of a good representation. And the reason why I wanted to tell this story is because you never know what can happen. And I think with everything currently going on with the climate of the world, like, please live life as much as possible, healthy, wise, be, like, smart, be, like, grateful, and be grateful to have, like, the little central things, you know what I mean? Like, today I was kind of lazy and I didn't want to cook, and then I was like, no, I'm grateful that I have it, like I can cook, and then I have, the stuff to make my food. And so, just kind of practicing gratitude and practicing, like, showing gratitude for everything and for the little things. And I think, live your life and really enjoy it to the fullest potential, as long as it's being safe, you're being healthy, as long as that you are doing things actually correctly. And then I think enjoy the experience of life, and take care of those around you, and, like, love them and show up for them and care for them. And or if you gotta apologize, like, do it, because, like, life is so short, and it's like, you don't know what can happen. But yeah, that's it for this 6 week's episode. It's been so much fun filming these episodes. If you guys could please give us 5 stars, give us a review, give us 5 stars, comment down below, like, what do you love about this show? Share this show with anyone else that you know of. And also, please give us a follow on That's So Danny on Instagram, as well as YouTube and on TikTok. Please give us a follow, please give us a like, and comment down below an apple. Comment down an apple, because I will know that you've been listening to That's So Danny. And so, yeah, for next week's episode, I am going to be reviewing the show Bones. I've been loving that show. And so I just want to give a good review, because I'm currently in season 8. And so by next week, I should be by season almost 10 or 11. So by then, I should be almost done, and so I kind of want to review it and kind of give my final predictions for that final season and see how I feel, how everything's going on. And so, yeah, guys, I hope you guys like this episode. I had so much fun. I hope you'll have a good day. Take care, and we will see you next week. Bye! As much as you can, give us 5 stars, give us good reviews. That really does help us. So, yeah, guys, I hope you guys like this episode. It was so much fun, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!